Good morning, everyone. In this lecture, we are going to talk about the Cloud Federation stack or the intercloud stack. So what is the stack and how it is being implemented when we're talking about any type of cloud federation? In the last lecture, we talked about the reasons why we should go for cloud federation and the reasons why it should be more worked upon. So in particular, we discussed about load balancing, capacity management, prevention from power outages and failures, prevention from vendor lock-ins, scaling data to other cloud service providers, and efficient use of surplus resources. So these were the reasons why we should go for cloud federation, and now we are talking about different levels which are there, which are present within the cloud federation stack. Creating a cloud federation involves research and development at different levels, which include your conceptual level, then comes your logical and operational level, and finally it is your infrastructural level. So the first thing from where we have to start is your conceptual level, where we have to understand via concept what it is all about, what we're trying to do. Then we go to the logical and operational level, where we see what is the logic behind it and how to make it operational. And lastly, we go at infrastructural level, where we do all of those little changes which might be needed in order to implement your cloud federation stack. We won't go like in a lot of detail for this, but we will understand what it actually means, the cloud federation reference stack, because it is important to know what comprises this reference stack. And whenever we are saying or using the word reference, just always remember that it is just like a model. जैसे हम IS PAS SAS की बात कर रहे थे, similarly reference model हमेशा सिर्फ देखने के लिए होता है. For example, मैंने आपको बोला कि ऐसे through 5 steps do one assignment and you have no idea about it. तो मैंने demonstration के लिए किसी और का assignment उठा के आपको दिखाया. So you're not allowed to as it is copy it or as it is उसी को मान लिया कि यही ग्रंथ है, this is Ramayana. No, that is just for your reference purposes, so that you understand कि where the headings are going to go, how it will be structured, what type of diagrams must be there, what must be the detailing out of it. So all of those things. And similarly, reference stack over here, when we're talking for cloud federation, it is going to give you some idea about the implementation of how it will be implemented. So talking about the conceptual level, which is the number 1, over here we extensively talk about the motivations, the advantages, the opportunities, and the obligations. So what we're trying to do is basically discuss and brainstorm as to why we need a cloud federation, why do we need intercloud, and is there a genuine need of it? What will be the possible future benefits arising out of it? What is it which is motivating us to go for cloud federation? What will be the advantages once we successfully implement and achieve the aim of cloud federation or intercloud? Then what will be the advantages? And once you do that, after doing that, what will be the opportunities? So you can think of it in the terms of SWOT analysis also. And lastly, what are the obligations? Right? What are the things which are making you constrained, which are limiting you? So what are those obligations? And once you are very much clear at your conceptual level about the definition, characterization, what do you want, how do you want, what you are going to get out of it, and once this is clear, your conceptual level, which is carried out by maybe standalone individuals, maybe cloud owners, maybe different organizations who want to make this a reality. So anyone can be a party to this discussion, and the work is very extensive and very elaborate and time consuming. It is never like they decided in a day कि ऐसा करना है, right? Similarly, if you are starting your own application or business, you will not just be like कि हाँ बस अभी कर देना है, 9:05 पे आइडिया आया और 9:10 पे तो मैं कर दूंगा सब कुछ. No, it is going to take some time. You will be thinking about it, right? It will go to your conceptual dimension, where you will elaborately think about the implementation of it. वो भी कर सकते हो आप, 9:05 से 9:10 भी कर सकते हो, but it won't be a success, right? So once you plan it well, you go thoroughly through everything, then you are at a better chance of achieving success. So then we have the logical and operational level. Over here we finalize what will be our federation model, कि कौन सी पार्टी कैसे इन्वॉल्व होंगे. फाइनली हमारा मॉडल है क्या, दैट इज व्हाट वी डिसाइड ओवर हियर. We talk about the cloud service, which services will be used in exchange. We talked about the different providers who will be a party to it, who all will be a party to it. We have to finalize that. We talk about agreements, how the agreements will be managed or handled, executed and drafted and finalized between different providers. What will be those agreements? What will be the market and pricing model? How you're going to price it? How you're going to dynamically fluctuate that? You remember we talked about price in TCO, and we saw that how TCO calculates the hidden cost. Under unit tak ke market rate mein jaake they multiply mathematically and then give you the number. So same goes over here. For market and pricing model, you need to see how the market is working, how the market is going to work in the next 5 years, and you have to then decide on your pricing models. What pricing model you're going to use. It will be pay-per-use or subscription or yearly or quarterly or hourly or pay per second. Many factors come into play, right? And lastly, we have service level agreements. ऐसा नहीं हो ना कि यहाँ पे गूगल है, यहाँ पे अमेजन है, यहाँ पे आप हो और आपने सर्विस ली और गूगल को लगा कि अच्छा ये तो फ्री में लेने के लिए आ गए हैं, तो इनको let's compromise, let's give them least underutilized resources, or maybe not give them the best quality of service which they are capable of giving. So there comes the role of service level agreements, where you have to really fine tune and elaborately express what will be the level of the service, what will be the quality of the service, and all of that is defined in an agreement which is signed by all of the parties, both of the parties. So both of the parties, if it is a one-to-one interaction, but if it is an integrated, then if you're going for the federated one, then we have to get it signed by all the parties involved. So this is our logical and operational level. Once we are through this level, then we will enter the third level, which is your infrastructure level. So over here the real work lies, the real implementation, execution, hardware management, protocol management, everything happens over here. So the first thing which we need to work on is the protocol. Which particular protocol stack will be used? What will be the freedom of using protocols for communication? You need to look at the interfaces. What will be the interfaces and which programming languages will be used to design your GUIs? Then we have standards. What particular industry-based standards are you going to adhere to? And that will be coming from your ISO. And that is also pretty much dependent on conceptual, logical and operational level. Then we have programmatic interoperation and federation platforms, reservoir, intercloud, everything. So you have to look at the programmatic interoperation, because one application which is running over here, if you're running the same application over here, it might not be a very smooth transition, because interoperability is a big issue. So we want to make it as smooth as possible, and that is why we have different levels, because whenever you're going for a federated cloud solution, you need to work according to this reference stack. You need to know what you're doing at conceptual level, you need to know what you're doing at logical and operational level, you need to know what you're doing at infrastructure level, right? And then it might come together, and you might have to go through this track like 3-4 times in iterative loops unless you get the final solution which you want. So now we have a lot of theory for this, and I will give you time to go through it. You can read. So figure provides a comprehensive view of the challenges faced in designing and implementing an organizational structure that coordinates together cloud services that belong to different administrative domains and makes them operate within a context of a single unified service middleware. Each cloud federation level presents different challenges and operates at a different layer of the IT stack. So again, when we're talking about the conceptual or what, that is about drafting. When we're talking about logical and operational, this is where we're deciding how we're going to implement it. And lastly, when we talk about infrastructure, that is the actual infrastructure. It then requires the use of different approaches and technologies. Taken together, the solutions to these challenges faced at each of these levels constitute a reference model for cloud federation. So you include everything, and then the final end result comes your reference model. Talking about the conceptual level, it addresses the challenges in presenting a cloud federation as a favorable solution with respect to the use of services leased by single cloud providers. In this level, it is important to clearly identify the advantages for either service providers or consumers in joining a federation, and to delineate the new opportunities that a federated environment creates with respect to the single provider solution. So over here again, we're talking about the advantages, pros and motivations, and again everything with respect to your provider and your consumer, that how it is going to collaborate at a conceptual level. And the elements of concern at this level comes in the form of motivation, that how you're going to motivate other providers to join a federation. What will be the motivation for customer, for the consumer to take use of the federation? Then we have advantages for providers in leasing their services to other providers, that how you're going to give them that, this is advantageous for you. Then we have obligations of providers once they have joined the federation, because once they join the federation, then they will have to stick to some rules. So all of that comes under your obligations. And then we have trust agreements between providers, and finally transparency versus consumers. Further is your logical and operational level, then your infrastructure. The logical and operational level of a federated cloud identifies and addresses the challenges in devising a framework. So framework that enables the aggregation of providers that belong to different administrative domains within a context of a single overlay infrastructure, which is the cloud federation. At this level, policies and rules for interoperation are defined. Moreover, this is the layer at which decisions are made as to how and when to lease a service, to leverage a service from another provider. And then your logical component, it defines a context in which agreements among providers are settled, that what is the logic behind that, and how the services are negotiated. Whereas on the other hand, the operational component, it will characterize and shape the dynamic behavior of federation as a result of the single provider's choices. That is the level where MOCC is implemented and realized. It is important at this level to address the following challenges. How should a federation be represented? How you're going to represent your federation? How you're going to model and represent your service? How you're going to model and represent the cloud provider itself or an agreement? How you will define the rules and policies? What will be the mechanisms for settling agreement between provider? What will be the provider's responsibility with respect to each other, right? Provider and consumer, how can they take advantage of federation? And which kind of services are more likely to be leased or what? So you will make a catalog for that also. How should we price resources that are leased, and which fraction of resources should we lease? So these are very dynamic questions which need answering while you are joining a cloud federation. And the logical and operational level provides opportunities for both academia and industry, because again this is evolving, so a lot of work needs to be done. And lastly, we have the infrastructure level. The infrastructure level addresses the technical challenges involved in enabling heterogeneous cloud computing systems to interoperate seamlessly. So this level is used to address the technical challenges which are involved in enabling heterogeneous cloud computing system to interoperate seamlessly. It deals with the technology barriers that keep separate cloud computing systems belonging to different administrative domains. By having standardized protocols and interfaces, these barriers can be overcome. So we have standardized protocols, we have standardized interfaces, and that is how a lot of technical challenges are addressed, and that is done at this layer. So at this level, it is important to address the following issue. What kind of standards should be used? What will be the, how you're going to design your interface, and what will be the protocols which you will choose to make it more interoperable? What are the technologies you will use for interoperability? How can you realize a software system, design platform components and services enabling interoperability? So that is another question to be answered. And lastly, interoperation and composition among different cloud computing vendors is possible only by means of open standards and interfaces. Moreover, interfaces and protocols change considerably at each layer of the cloud computing reference model. So that is true, because at every layer when you will be corresponding it to the IT stack, you will see that there are different languages and softwares and protocols and standards. So it will be different at each layer, and how you're going to make them interoperable at the level of infrastructure. So that is also a very big issue. And I think that is where I will close this discussion also. Just have a basic understanding of this stack at the conceptual level, at logical and operational level, at infrastructure level. Just keep in your mind these points, because they can give you a lot to think about, how to bring different cloud service providers together to build or give rise to a cloud federation. And the reference stack is this in front of you. So please go through this reference stack and try to understand it really well. And if you have any questions, I am open, so please let me know. Thank you very much. Have a good day and stay safe. Again, any questions you can put in the comment box below, or you can discuss with me in the class, which is on Saturday. So we can discuss your doubts in that class also. For now, from my side, this unit is over. Your unit 4 is over, and we will be jumping into unit 5, and possibly we will be completing it by 10th of November. So yeah, buckle up your belts. Unit 5 is more about data mining and about big data than it is about cloud. So we will get into that part as well, right? Thank you very much. Have a good day. Stay safe.